Her name is Barbara Sorensen, but I know her as Mom. All moms teach us invaluable lessons from how to tie our shoes to how to get along with others. But my mom also taught me how to follow my dreams, showing me by example, going into the art studio, getting her hands dirty, and pursuing her passion, making art.
I think that the real bottom line is that I just love to make. I just love to make work. I wake up every morning and I just can't wait to get into the studio. I have too many ideas. I'll never be able to make all of them.
She's been able to turn that passion into a profession, exhibiting her sculptures at galleries and museums across the country. This exhibit at Manchester is a small part of a 7,000 square foot retrospective exhibit of her work that was at the Orlando Museum of Art, which is where she lives and where I grew up. She met Bill Strickland, the founder of Manchester Craftsmen's Guild, about 15 years ago when he was receiving an award in Colorado for his work in art and education.
I invited your mom because she's an extraordinary artist, and I came to the conclusion she's very gifted and has a very special sense of place and location, and particularly of clay, which is the material that was so inspirational to me.
The exhibit at Manchester is called Barbara Sorensen Topographies, reflecting the landscape.
I take the clay and I actually throw it on the floor and stomp on it and beat it, which is called, it's a way of wedging the clay. And then I cut it in half, and then I get back in and start doing my textures. So I add big slabs, I roll things to make the marks. In this one, and in several of them, I have put in materials which really are not ceramics. This is a computer part. This is a spring. These are kind of materials which are we find in contemporary society, although that these shields themselves really reference some windows and doors that I saw that had been in Spain since the 15th century.
Here, she's showing us how she creates one of these shields, starting with an idea and a slab of clay.
These bumps that you see are caused by rocks, little stones actually, which I collected when I was hiking. I do a lot of hiking out in Colorado and in the mountains. I've hiked all over the world actually. And I pick up the stones when I hike and bring them back to the studio, put them in the surface of the clay, and when they get into the kiln, because my pieces get fired to about 2,000 degrees, when they go in the kiln, they bubble and they burst and they do lots of interesting things.
It's especially fitting that her work is being shown at Manchester Craftsmen's Guild, a place that teaches young people to follow their dreams and gives them the skills, resources, and confidence to do that. Professionals like my mom come in to teach young people. Bill Strickland started Manchester after a high school art teacher turned him onto ceramics and turned his life around at the same time. Manchester is now doing the same for hundreds of other young people.
A public school teacher basically saved my life using clay and the arts as a strategy to do that. I became pretty successful. I founded a program in the community because I wanted other kids to have a similar career path and career opportunity.
My mom takes clay and presents it in ways you may have never considered, hanging on a wall or suspended from the ceiling, like this piece called Boats, which she said could also be seen as upside-down mountains. She even projects video on top of the clay sculptures, like this piece called Foothills.
When you are in an airplane, even flying out of Pittsburgh, you've got these amazing rolling hills here. And to see how on a bright sunny day, how the clouds kind of just change their shape as they go over the topography and the surface of the landscape. So that is what these are referencing.
She also created these monotypes, which might look like paintings, but are actually made with ink and a press. And these are some of her earliest works, pieces I actually helped her make when I was home after college. They're called Pandora's Boxes.
The outside is kind of bumpy and crusty, and then the inside always has a surprise.
My mom actually started as a high school art teacher right out of college and took a 20-year break to raise my sister and me. So teaching has always been a part of her love of art. She'll be teaching workshops to the students all week.
What do you like about being able to teach students?
I think I like to share the joy and the pleasure and the excitement I get from working with clay. And I really experiment. And I want to let the students feel that sense of experimentation and trying new things and never staying, the same, and always just taking a chance. And I think those are all different lessons in life, and I think that those are the kinds of things that happen in the studio. And so as the students work through these things in the studio, in the end, they are learning things about life.
It's essential that the students meet people from the world who are accomplished, particularly in the subjects that we teach here, which is clay and photography and digital imaging. And the best way for kids to begin to imagine themselves as successful is to meet people who are successful.
I've watched my mom's art grow, from her petite bejeweled boxes to the hanging boats, to bright wiry frames that seem to dance in the space, to goddess forms where dancers really did inhabit the museum. And now I get to share my mom's own creations with my community, each piece of art the realization of a dream and a lesson to me and the students at Manchester about living out your passion.